All right, fastest 15 minutes on the internet, fastest 15 minutes in social media. My name is Judson Powell. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to continue talking about the origins of spiritual warfare and Kemetic spirituality and Kemetic science. All right, so now, yesterday I was talking about how the origins of, like the whole thing about fear and envy and covetousness and all these different things were injected into the scriptures so that basically you would fall for, or that you would subliminally fall for all of these different things. Because once again, we realize that words are very powerful. Words have meaning. Okay, so we reading all these stories and we're seeing all these people murdered. And at the end, I got some feedback. Well, I got one, person's feedback about. I said that the Bible, of course, you always got people that are like Bible thumpers or whatever, and I just was trying to tell them, like, look, murder and rape were basically infused into the scriptures right at the beginning. Okay, so now as these so-called uh, people, I don't even know what to call them, but they were told by them, according to the scriptures, they were told by the Most High to go and to conquer these different lands, and that they were going to be theirs, that this was their promised land. All right, and so basically, what did they do? And the other thing that's in the scriptures, it told them to kill off all the women that had laid with a man, and all of them that didn't, they could have them for themselves. Which is, so now, if you're I don't know, I don't even know how to describe it. I guess sometimes I'm never at a loss for words, but I'm at a loss for words because I believed that the Bible for a long time until I started doing more studying. And then so now when I look back, I think to myself, how was I so ignorant to believe that the Most High would condone murder and rape of anybody? You know, these things go across, and once again, bringing up the law of correspondence, as above, so below, what's on the left and right, up, down, in, out, around, all of those things, law of correspondence. So in these things on the scale of good to evil are evil, right? They're evil. So why would there be a book? Shouldn't this book be more so about how to be good to people and how to treat people right? And here's the thing. So now, because we're talking about Kemetic spirituality, well, our science includes what? It includes Mayat. All right? Mayat, if we look at those 42 negative confessions of Mayat, which by the way, the Ten Commandments were stolen from, and the rest of the law and the Torah was all stolen from Mayat. All right, and Mayat is the negative confessions, and here's the difference between Mayat and the Ten Commandments, or what's in the Bible. Mayat is just a suggestion to you. Mayat is not a judgment, so there's no judgment, in Mayat. All it's saying is these are the things that I don't want to do. Because why? Because it's in my nature. So what the writers of the Bible, they realized that there were certain things that were in your nature. They already knew that. All right. So all they did was they put things that were against your nature. But then why is it that the stories that are in the Bible are all the stories that go in the negative, towards your negative nature, not towards your good nature? Right? In my opinion, you can, and I've read the Bible so many times that, in my opinion, the Bible is an evil book. And it also, once again, I've said this before, that it's the blueprint for white supremacy and the blueprint for slavery. Because it has words in it that condone white supremacy and slavery, or in fact, they condone supremacy, period. All right. So I look upon all these things and I go, well, why, why is this like this? And it was because they wanted power and control over people, and not just black people. Let's get that straight, because in the early days of Christianity, white people were also killed for not believing in the Bible. If you tried to go outside, the Coptic priests that came down from the Kemetic priests, they were always under persecution because they were not always believing, or they knew the Kemetic scriptures, they knew the Kemetic origins of the scriptures, so they didn't always go along with everything that Constantine and the whole gang, the whole Roman Catholic Church thing, they just didn't go along with it. So those were the people that were being killed and persecuted, and most of them were Caucasians. They were white. So they had studied what the Kemetic priests had studied. So back to Ma'at. So Ma'at is where they got several concepts from. First of all, the Ten Commandments. Second of all, the whole angels and all of that kind of stuff. That's where it came from, because Ma'at, of course, if you've ever seen the pictures or the statues of Ma'at, she has wings, right? She has wings. But her thing was you do everything yourself. To thine own self be true, right? To thine own self be true, right? Know thyself, and to thine own self be true. So what Ma'at is doing is trying to bring balance into your life. It's trying to, because all the negative traits, or all the negative aspects of your netter, what Ma'at is trying to do is trying to even those negative aspects out, at least, so that you're not, and that's why we always talk about justice and fairness and balance, and those are the tenets that Kemetic spirituality is built on. And that's why the things that go on in the world perplex us so much, because our nature, everything that's most of the stuff that goes on in the world is really against our nature. Just like when you sit up there and you go and you think to yourself, and you're like, how could you hear about some news and you go, how could a person do that? You hear about somebody doing something, to a child or to an elderly person or anything like that, and you think to yourself, well, how could they do that? And it's because you have the propensity to be able to do anything, good or bad. But what Ma'at does is say, look, you kind of gotta pick and choose your spots. And even the universal law of grace is saying that. Because what? You also have what? The universal law of karma. Because, and the people that are truly believers in the Most High understand that that's how things really work. So even though you think you might have gotten away with something, or you did something or whatever, the bottom line is the universe ain't forgot about it. All right. So, and then of course, as the story goes, when you transition into the universe, Ma'at, from the earth realm, when you transition, Ma'at is going to weigh your heart against a feather, right? It's going to weigh your heart against a feather. And what's going to happen when they weigh your heart against a feather? And then the next thing you know, what? Then you're delivered to the underworld, right? Or you're delivered to the universe. And depending on your goodness and bad. So which is also where they get the concept of heaven and hell. But let me explain something too, also about the concepts of heaven and hell and purgatory. All right, those concepts were made so that the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, could make money, and that's why they were created. They because it doesn't say that in the hieroglyphs or in the papyrus. That's not what it says. It's not really a heaven or a hell situation. It's just like, I'm dealing with myself. And so instead of being able to go into the universe, right, I'm sent back, which is where we get the concept of what? Reincarnation. So I'm sent back because I still have not mastered the ability to balance myself, my emotions, my feelings, everything that I have going on. I haven't been able to master it yet. All right. So we get all these concepts. Now heaven and hell and purgatory were really pushed by the Roman Catholic Church because it was a way for them to make money. So if your loved one, if your loved one was presumed to have gone to hell, you could pay the Roman Catholic Church, you could pay the priest, and they would pray for your loved one, and your loved one could get out of hell. And the same thing with purgatory. There were certain people who were deemed that, oh, well, they weren't bad, but they weren't good. They're in the middle, so they're going to stay in this mid state until you come along and you give the priest money. That's what it was about. Had nothing to do with your goodness or that. And then that brings me to the question of sin. Sin cannot be the judgment because, it's like, and there's nobody else that can save you from sin but you. Even if you accept Jesus Christ, as they say, and then you're absolved of all your sins or whatever. All right, that's not true because they still took place. And there's still a universal consequence for every sin or every negative part. So if you harmed, like one of the negative confessions is that you won't disturb an altar or you won't harm an altar, right? But if you did that while you're alive, and there's no no payment, no, you're not gonna get jail time for on the altar, but the universe knows you did it, right? So sin cannot be the dividing point. And the other thing is the church has always used sin or all of that stuff as what? As a way to make you feel guilt and make you feel the persecution of the church and make you feel, like you're unworthy. And then all of a sudden it's like, the only way that you can feel worthy is like, know thyself and to thine own self be true. If you know and you change, see, because change only comes from within. Nobody got, and all of this stuff, even people, we know from the church that people do stuff and they constantly do stuff and everything. And what happens? Nothing. Who, is there's, what's the consequences of certain things? There is no consequence to a lot of things. It's because it only hurts you as an individual. Now I know there's a universal law of oneness that everybody is connected. I mean, it does hurt other people, especially if you have family. Like if you have family and you're an alcoholic or a drug addict and you can't function every day because you're drunk or high, that affects your whole family. That affects the community, right? Just like, because if you walking down the street and you're a drug addict and you pass out, what's going to happen? Basically, what's going to happen is that you're going to, cost the city, county, whatever, you're going to cost them all money, right? And so that's what I'm trying to say. So all of these things are self-help. See, and that's the difference between Kemetic spirituality is the fact that in the church, all they do is point a finger at you and say, don't do that. But Kemetic spirituality says you did that because you're out of balance. So it's up to the community to put you back in balance. So that's how Africans do. The community puts you back in balance, not by punishment, but by the fact that once you have something that's been pointed out that's negative, right? That goes against those negative confessions. That's why the confessions, I have not murdered. I have not stolen. I have not, done anything bad to children. I have not eaten too much food. I have not. All of those 42 negative confessions are the things that'll make your life better, as found by the Kemetic priest. And that's what it's based on. But it's more so based on balance. And the same thing is true, even with what I was talking about before with the man and the woman. The man and the woman, they create balance. That's why it's important. That's why the law of gender is important, because they create balance. It's not that, that one is better than the other. It's the fact that they go together. See, we got fights in the popular society, feminists, against whatever. But that stuff doesn't create balance. The woman is not in charge. The man is not in charge. They're both in charge together. Time is up anyway. 15 minutes is up. 15 minutes. Yeah, fast 15 minutes on the radio. Anyway, gotta go. Love you. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button.